What would you do if your pregnant wife and two young daughters suddenly disappeared without a trace? Would you immediately search for them, or would you become the center of suspicion yourself? In August 2018, a quiet Colorado neighborhood was shaken by a case that would horrify millions around the world. At first, it looked like a desperate search for a missing family. But within days, investigators uncovered a truth that was almost impossible to believe. The man pleading on television for his family's safe return wasn't just a worried husband. He was hiding a devastating secret. This is the story of Chris Watts. To outsiders, Chris Watts seemed to have an ordinary life. He lived in Frederick, Colorado, with his wife, Shannon Watts, who was 15 weeks pregnant, and their two daughters, Bella and Celeste. On social media, Shannon often shared family photos and videos. They looked like a happy couple raising two energetic little girls. But behind the smiling pictures, the marriage was under strain. Financial difficulties, growing emotional distance, and Chris's affair with a co-worker had created serious problems that few people outside the family fully understood. In the early morning of August 13th, 2018, Shannon returned home from a business trip. Later that day, a close friend became worried after Shannon missed a doctor's appointment and wasn't answering her phone. When repeated calls and messages went unanswered, the friend contacted police and asked them to check on the family. Officers arrived at the Watts home that afternoon. Chris appeared calm and cooperative. He told investigators he had no idea where his wife and daughters had gone. Soon, neighbors, volunteers, and law enforcement began searching for the missing family. As the hours passed, public concern grew. Detectives carefully examined the home. There were signs that Shannon had left personal belongings behind, including items she normally wouldn't have gone without. Then investigators reviewed surveillance footage from a neighbor's security camera. The video showed Chris backing his truck into the driveway early that morning before leaving for work. Although the footage didn't clearly show what happened, detectives noticed Chris behaving nervously as he watched the recording. His changing explanations only increased investigators' suspicions. Soon, the search shifted from finding a missing family to determining what had happened inside the home. As investigators gathered more evidence, they confronted Chris with inconsistencies in his story. He initially admitted responsibility for Shannon's death, but falsely claimed she had harmed their daughters. Investigators continued examining the evidence. Eventually, Chris confessed that he had killed Shannon, Bella, and Celeste. He later led authorities to the location where their bodies had been concealed. The confession stunned the nation. Many people struggled to understand how someone who appeared to be an ordinary husband and father could commit such crimes against his own family. To avoid the possibility of the death penalty, Chris Watts pleaded guilty to multiple charges, including the murders of Shannon, Bella, and Celeste, as well as the unlawful termination of Shannon's pregnancy. In November 2018, he was sentenced to multiple consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. The case came to a legal end, but the questions it raised continue to be discussed. How could someone who appeared so ordinary hide such devastating intentions? Could there have been warning signs that others missed? If this story affected you, remember the victims and the loved ones they left behind. If you enjoy thoughtful, true crime documentaries that focus on the facts, consider subscribing for more stories that changed America.